Okay, you can see I got the windows all sanded down, ready to go. All the holes have been filled, so those are going to get painted. I got some of these seams filled just to help fill it in a little bit so those grooves aren't that deep, so it doesn't look too much like paneling. That's all prepped. That's all primed. All the holes over here have been filled. I even got the corner fill strip in. And then when I was taking that out, there was actually a thermostat here that used to run for the gas stove. But it's actually pretty neat because I took it out and yeah, there's a little bit of liquid mercury in that switch. So everything is now sanded and dried. You can see this is actually scuffed up some now, so the paint will stick to that better. And I actually sanded all the way across everything here, and also did that wall, sanded all the drywall spots and everything on there, and got that all sand so the paint will stick better. So next step, paint. So it's a little difficult to see with the backlighting from outside, even though it's gray and overcast, but you can see I got, these are all primed, and that's primed. Over there is actually painted, and I got the first coat of gray on the windows. So this is what we're up to now. Just wanted to give an update. So what do you think of it so far? All right, so to finish up with these windows, what we're gonna end up doing is I gotta come back and you can see all the excess paint, but it's glass, so I can just get the razor, scrape that right off, and that'll be cleaned up. But what I'm gonna do now is, before I finish up my white touch-up paint along this here, we're gonna basically go up above, and you can see this little hidden recess up above there. What we're gonna do is I have some old blinds here that we're gonna actually cut these down to the right size, and then we're gonna end up getting these mounted so they're gonna be up in here. So that way when we pull them down, they'll be actually out of sight until you pull them all the way down. So first thing I gotta do is get my measurements, and then we'll get this marked up and I'll show you how we cut these. All right, so what we're gonna do is, since I'm gonna have two of them, I'm gonna basically split the difference coming down here. So you can see I got the tape is tight to each end from there, and then you got middle. So really, I wanna go 33 inches on each one of these, so that way I have about a little bit, a half-inch gap on each side. So there's where our measurement's gonna be, 33 inches. So this side will be 33, and this side is gonna be 33 also. So something I wanted to show is, you can see these two are the same size lengthwise, but if you notice, these buttons are a little bit off. And I know from experience there's actually a mechanism that goes from this button over this way. That's what these are that hold it on. This one here, you can see I have a tape over it now, but it's another basically button like this. That's where one of the strings comes up through. So if we match these up this way, you can see they're not even close on the sides. So what you gotta be careful of is on this other side, you gotta look in through the end, which the camera won't pick it up, and watch where the strings go through these. Because if you cut that string, I haven't been able to figure out how to put one back together. So what I need to do is actually get this measured from side to side, keep this kind of centered, and mix those strings and get 33 inches. And I prefer to try to get these centered. So I'm gonna go ahead and get these marked, and I'll show you how we cut them then. And if you didn't catch it, these are Levolor blinds that we're doing this with. All right, so what I end up doing is just putting a piece of masking tape on the top here on each side, so you can see I got stop, because if I go beyond that, I'm in risk of hitting those strings. So what I end up doing is, if you go and look at your top rail, you can't see it really down in there, but you can see some strings. Basically, you want to follow those strings until you figure out where they are, and don't touch those. So what I ended up doing was getting I used a pencil, put it down inside until I touched the string, marked it, came out here, and then added a little bit, and then put my line. So now that I got that, you can see just how uneven these are. So if you line them up, the strings are really close to where each other's were, but you can see the difference in the lengths. So I want to try to even that up. So now, remember, this was going to be 33 inches long. So I know 33 inches long is 16.5 is my halfway point. So I can go from here to one end, 16.5 inches, and then 16.5 the other way. So doing that, this end was 16.5. This one is 16.5. So I got to cut here to get my 33 total from that length to here. And the same on this one. From that end all the way down here to this line would be my 33. And I put the X to let me know this is my scrap end. So really now, what you want to make sure is have these all taped up nice and tight so they don't really flex. And we're going to be actually using the miter saw to cut them. So when we do that, you want to go nice and slow because there is a piece of aluminum inside this head rail. So we're just going to go ahead and cut these nice and slow. There we go. Now we'll just do the other one. All right, so now as long as everything was done right, you should be able to take this tape off and it'll all stay together and it won't fly apart. Because if you take this off and it goes, it just basically goes flailing out, that means you cut the wire or you cut the little cable that's in it. So far so good, and I didn't even do this side. So it looks like this one, that's one down, and that's good. And now you can actually, let's flip it around here so you can test it, pull it out, put it back together. All right, and then we'll get the other one ready. And now with these two, I did pop off these caps. They go on the ends because you can, if you're not careful, you can actually slide some of these off and then it's hard to get this back on. So just be advised of that. And that's where these caps go back on the ends. Okay, now you can see I got them just sitting here right now, but they're going to be just about perfect. So they're going to be somewhat snug in here to block as much as we can from outside. So now I just got to get the brackets mounted up there, which are these. All right, and just if you have this style brackets, you'll know how these go. You got the little hook on this top part. This actually hooks on here, and then this snaps down in. And if you look close, you see where it says top. So we're gonna go ahead and get these mounted up there, and I'm gonna get them basically evenly spaced in a little bit from each end, so that way they're gonna be up in here. But I'm gonna get them spaced even. So you can see I got the brackets all up in there now. And now what we need to do is I need to grab this and we're gonna basically snap it in. And you can see the little storm that just blew in. All right, so they are both mounted. They're up here. One thing I forgot to point out is after you do your initial cut, you'll see some of these are actually kind of bound up a little bit. Just grab it and just flex it and it'll just pop back out. So you can see like how these are stuck here. If you would just drill your hand down over them, pull them apart, then they're back to normal. All right, so they're in. And we will call that good. So you can see them here. All right, there's the blinds closed all the way. And there they are open all the way. Like I said, you can barely see them at the very top edge there. So it's just enough that you can reach in there, grab them still, and then pull them down. And this is what they look like from down below. You can see them here. So there's still plenty of room there to be able to reach up, grab them, and pull them down. But we're gonna call that good. Any questions or comments, leave them below. And if you just wanna know what we're using, they're Levolor blinds.